Hey guys, IceWire here and welcome back to the channel. Now today I figured why not just tell a story? Story times are fun. So today I am going to tell you exactly how my visa interview went. Yeah, I know, very exciting content. This is what happens when you're moving overseas and you don't have a backlog ready. But I really did want to tell the story because it was kind of funny. And I also just want to share my experience because this is such a daunting process. I know, like a lot of people, or some people that I know have gone through it personally, so they get it, but a few people that haven't, that, just kind of don't know too much about what it takes to move to another country, especially if you're marrying someone in a foreign country, just how much effort it takes, because it takes a lot of effort and so much emotional stress. So yeah, today let's talk about that. So I had my visa interview on the 9th of May. So it wasn't too long ago that I actually had the interview. And basically the previous day I had to fly up to Auckland, which was where the consulate was, and stayed a night at the hotel there. And yeah, the next morning it was interview time. So there was a lot happening. But first let's start with the beginning, the night before the interview. So I have never ordered an Uber before, and I had 3 very different experiences in Auckland with Uber. The first one, which was travelling from the airport to the hotel, was very concerning. So obviously I ordered the Uber and I had trouble finding where he parked, but I did find him. But that's not the creepy part. The creepy part was when we started driving. Now obviously with Uber you can, track your ride while you're in it, which is honestly a really cool feature. I quite like it. And it proved useful because we were going a certain path from the airport to the hotel, and then all of a sudden this guy just goes a completely different direction, and I'm sitting there looking at my phone, looking at him, just being like, you're not saying anything? What's happening? Is this kidnapping? Is that what's happening? Because now I'm kind of spooked. And the driver was just very kind of grumpy, a very grumpy Uber driver, and a little bit, he was a bit of a speedy one. I don't like getting into cars with people that I don't know, especially if they're driving. So, this all happening, it was just a big yikes. I had anxiety, and I was freaking. But in the end, we just ended up being able to bypass all the traffic, all was well, and I got to the hotel. The hotel had a really weird green and purple colour scheme, and it was something. It was aesthetically different, but it was a hotel. In the morning I had hot chocolate and Burger King for breakfast because I didn't know what the hell else to eat, and everything in Auckland is just ridiculously overpriced. I would not want to live in Auckland at all. It's terrible. I hate it. There's a lot of cool things to do. Obviously, the city is like really pretty, and you got the Sky Tower, the zoos, Kelly Tarleton's, the aquatic wildlife reserve. But other than that, it's a shithole. Also, even though it was just hotel hot chocolate, that hot chocolate I had was the best goddamn hot chocolate I've ever had in my life. I loved it. Hot chocolate is like my substitute for coffee. I love that shit. It wakes me up. It makes me feel good. And it's just, I love it. So it comes around to about almost 10:40, and I decide, okay, well, we need to get going to this interview. My mother came with me for context. So we decided to get going, and I figured, okay, well, on Google Maps, it isn't too far from here, so we'll walk it. So we start, we check out the hotel, and we start walking there, and then we're not too far from the hotel, luckily. And I stop, and I just look at the map, and I'm like, I don't know where we're going. And with these places, it's like, once you have an interview, you can't just ring and be like, oh, I'm running late, or oh, I need to reschedule. No, you're there or you're not. And if you're not, tough shit, So I had to quickly order an Uber there. And this Uber driver, did not know what he was doing. We got in the car and I had to, even though I gave him the address, obviously you put in the address we want to go to, I gave him that on the app, but when it came to actually getting there, I had to explain where we were going and what street it was, and which was hard because I didn't know where it was exactly, so trying to explain it to somebody that's meant to take you there, that was fun. So we drove around and this guy was trying to find a route to this place, and we drove through an alley which was blocked for the first like few minutes, so we had to wait for a truck to pull out of the alley. And when it did, and we finally got to the end of the other end of the alley, he kind of just turned around and was like, okay, so it's on the street somewhere, so I'm gonna let you out here. And okay, thanks, I guess. So I was panicking at this point. It was almost time for the interview, like 10 minutes away, and I didn't know where it was. I didn't know where the building was. So I had to go into a store and ask for the directions to this consulate, which luckily the person that I asked knew what I was talking about. So I went out and found the building. It had a giant American flag out the front, so just had to keep an eye out for that, eyes to the sky and all. Found the building, and that's where my watch began. So you have to go for security and you give over all your stuff, like any bags that you have on you, and you take out what you need before you go in. You're not allowed any cell phones or any kind of technology inside, it's just your files, whatever you have on you, and that's about it. And your passport, of course, because you need to hand over your passport. So I go in there, it's about 10 o'clock. I go up to, there's a counter that you see when you first come in. It has like a number 5 and non-immigrant written on it. And I go up there and there is a woman there. She's American, and she says, hi, welcome. I've been the one that's been handling your case, and she was just a really, really sweet woman. I'd read reviews on this consulate, and a lot of them mentioned her specifically and how nice and calming she was. And my pessimistic mind, I always thought that, okay, well, I'm going to be the exception that pisses them off. But no, it was actually a really pleasant experience, and she was very calming. There was actually a point where she paused me and just said, okay, before we continue, I need you to just breathe because you look like you're about to cry. And yeah, I nearly was. I was just an emotional wreck when I first walked in there. After that, she just said, when people come in here, they act as if, we're holding their entire lives in our hands, which isn't the case. But I low-key disagreed because you kind of are, but you're nice, so I'm not gonna counter-argue you at all. Moving on, she just took my fingerprints, and then I went to a separate area and paid for the visa. It cost me about $400, a little bit more than 400 NZD. And then the waiting began. The very long, endless waiting. I was in there for about 2 hours. I didn't know what the time was. The only sound was lots of babies crying. There were families coming in, trying to get visas for their babies. A lot of them were American mothers and New Zealand fathers that had these children, which was like a little bit of an insight into my future, I guess. As I said earlier, there was no technology allowed, so you couldn't whip out your phone and check the time or do anything on your phone. You just had to sit and wait and be patient. The only thing that was on TV was CNN, and that did have the time, but not in New Zealand time. It was in American time, obviously. I actually had to ask a guy who had a watch, like, excuse me, what's the time? I don't mean to bother you, but do you mind telling me the time, please? And he gave me the time. It was about 11:20 when I asked him. And just waiting and waiting. And I talked to the guy who had the watch for a little bit, trying to do something to keep me occupied, apart from drinking water out of boredom, which resulted in me really needing to go to the toilet. And about at 12:20 p.m, I finally had my name called while I was, anxiously drinking more water because I was bored. and anxious. By the time when I first walked in there, I was like, shaky and nearly crying. But by the time I had my name called, I was calm. Still nervous, obviously, but calm. And yeah, I got called up to the counter for the interview. And it started off as a regular interview. The guy asked me, how long have myself and my fiance been together? And I told him. And, roughly when we met, and, how he came over here and I went over there. And the funny thing is that I compiled evidence to help, just in case I needed to present anything. I printed out my messages that myself and my partner have shared, and photos of each other, and just all these things that I thought I would need, and didn't even need them. That was fun. I mean, it was a relief, but it was like, that's money. I spent money preparing for this, and it ended up not needing it. But then a funny thing happened. He asked if we had any shared hobbies, and I mentioned Hearthstone, which was, in a sense, how we met. Stuff like Game of Thrones, because we were currently watching that at the time, and Dungeons and Dragons. And I mentioned that I played my first game ever when I went overseas, and it blew me away. This guy just got really excited and was like, "Oh, cool, what class did you play?" And I was like, "Huh? What? You know what a dungeon and a dragon is?" So I told him I played a dragon paladin. That's my character next. You can see him like here. Yeah, right there. That's my boy. He was like, "Oh, cool. Did you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, he was a champion of Bahama, and he was really grumpy, and it was fun." And then the interview kind of ended with not so much questions about myself and my fiance, but Dungeons and Dragons. Which, I got very lucky with this person. So we had like a little bit of a back and forth, and he told me, "Oh yeah, I run a D&D campaign too. I've been trying to convert a couple of New Zealand friends over." And it was just mind-blowing, because it's like, I got, like, I don't know, like, what's up there in the universe, but whoever rigged up going specifically to this interviewer, like, thank you, because you made my time so much easier and less stressful, and I wasn't scared like I thought I was going to be. And it pretty much concluded with him saying, "Okay, so when you get to the border, you're going to have to present them with this package, and we'll be sending your passport back in so-and-so time." And I just had to like step back and be like, "Wait, I got approved?" And he just grinned and said, "Yeah, you got approved." And I was just like, "Oh wow, I'm in shock." When you prepare for something for a year and spend so much money, like I spent $1,000 on my medical exam, like the whole process all up, I spent $1,000 on that. And then the trip, including the paying for the visa, all up was about $600-$700. Just when you take into account just how expensive this process is, and then how much you prepare mentally and emotionally, and like all of that you have to go through to do this stuff, and it's over like that. Like, yeah, you're approved, you can go to America, you're getting your visa soon. It's just mind-boggling. So we went home after that, and we had a really cool Uber driver on the way back. He was just the coolest Uber driver ever. He was just really chatty and fun, and he was just mind-blown because we just started rambling about random shit. He was mind-blown by the fact that the town that I'm currently living in, at the time of recording this, doesn't have any fast food places. So we don't have McDonald's, we don't have Burger King, we don't have anything other than 5 fish and chip stores and 1 curry place. Yeah, it was a time. It was fun. It was a cool Uber ride. I tipped him. He was cool. So overall, that's how my visa interview went. So if you ever go to the Auckland consulate, if you're in my position and you happen to be a New Zealander wanting to go to the US, don't worry. You're going to be fine. It's actually pretty okay there. I was so scared. Like, I'd spent so many times, like, on Messenger video call with my partner just crying because I was so scared that I'd fuck something up with this interview, and it just it went just brilliantly, you know? And it just blew my mind. And that's really all I wanted to share, is just how it went. It was a little bit of a rambly one, but hey, I'm known for rambling, and while it isn't a gaming video, I hope you did enjoy hearing the random story of how my D&D character low-key helped in the visa process, and also how the visa process itself went. It was an interesting experience for me. Everything I've been doing for this visa has just been such a weird experience. But it is good life experience. Consider supporting me on Patreon, as it feels to grow for my content's quality and the variety and production of said content that you guys get to see all here on the channel. And of course, as always, a huge thank you to my current patrons. They are Cosmoronic, Nicholas Montoya, Hasgirl, Cooladora, Kay, and Zapfinouch. And if you want to see your name shouted out at the end of the video like these guys, do hop over onto Patreon and have a look around at the cool rewards on offer. Or if you don't want to deal with the whole monthly subscription stuff, do consider checking out my Ko-Fi. If an easy, breezy, or once-off donation is more your thing, do check that out. Anyway, it's IceWire signing off, and I'll see you vids later next time on the channel. Have a lovely day / night with your own world, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!